Scrolling through the Bible, the Quran, or any other religious texts that stem from the Abrahamic Faiths, you might soon learn that there are many figures that have ambiguous personalities, or a few characters that may have the same name. For example, Enoch, whose scripture we've studied a couple of times, is not the only notable one. Before him, Cain had a son who was also named Enoch and had a city named after him. As such, these phenomena aren't exactly unique. However, this doesn't stop the situation from becoming puzzling, and that is the case when we take a look at the entity known as Azazel. Although he features in some canonical texts, he also features heavily in the non-canonical scriptures that can be found in these aforementioned Abrahamic religions. So, who is he? A leader of fallen angels? A Jinn? The personification of evil itself? Today we've decided to look into the entity of Azazel as he's depicted in several religious texts and depictions, and how these depictions came to be. So sit back and get ready as we show you the shocking truth about the spirit known as Azazel. As we stated earlier, the mystery surrounding Azazel has some complexity with regards to his identity. Perhaps we can turn to one of the earliest sources of the kind of activities that this spirit got up to in the Bible to solve this conundrum. In Leviticus 16, we are told of an incident where the name Azazel is used a total of 3 times. Here, 2 male goats are prepared for sacrifice by Aaron, the brother of Moses, and a leader in his own right. This occasion has since then been referred to as the Day of Atonement. This is because God instructed Moses to mark out the 2 goats for Aaron. The first was to be sacrificed, while the other was to receive the sins of the Israelites after Aaron had laid his hands on it and prayed, before casting it out into the desert. Although the older scriptures don't necessarily use the term Azazel, the newer ones state that the other goat was to receive the spirit of Azazel, thereby making it a scapegoat. It also means that Azazel is an entity that has been associated with evil in Scripture. Another version of Azazel can be seen in the famed Book of Enoch. For those that do not know, the Book of Enoch is not only filled with the secrets of astronomy and astrology, it's also filled with tales that provide more details about the reasons for the great flood that swept through the entire world, leaving only Noah and his family and a pair of every animal on earth floating in an ark until the great flood subsided. As detailed in the pages of the scripture, there was a time following the removal of Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden that mankind began to flourish. Life was good, and God wanted it to stay that way, so he charged a group of 200-odd angels known as the Watchers, or the Sons of God, to observe the humans and watch as they developed while never intervening in their activities. Unfortunately, the Watchers succumbed to the temptation as the beauty of the human women was too much to ignore. Despite being dissuaded by their leader Azzazil, who also succumbed to this lust for the flesh of women, the Watchers descended from the heavens to take the humans as wives. Inevitably, this led to corruption, as the Watchers not only copulated with the women, which created the giant hybrid monsters known as the Nephilim, they also taught the human beings that God had no intention of giving to the humans, things like magic, sorcery, cutting up of roots, and alchemy. However, despite the other atrocities that were going on during the genesis of the history of mankind, none of the Watchers seemed to be as damaging as the Watcher known as Azazel. He was the one who showed no interest in the women like his brothers. Instead, he seemed to revel in the further corruption of man. He was the one who taught mankind how to manipulate metals and paints, thereby giving them the ability to make weapons and wage wars amongst each other. This makes him stand out as the one who wanted to lead man further and further away from God, making it seem like he might have been a significant figure in the hierarchy of the Watchers. Some believe that he may have been the leader of the Watchers rather than Azzazil. Whatever the case may be, it was Azazel that the archangels took the most notice of once their attention was turned toward the chaos that was happening on earth. As such, he was the first thing that they brought up to God when they reported the upheaval of order on earth. Following this, after sending other angels to handle other matters concerning the Watcher's activities on earth, God specifically instructed Archangel Raphael to cast and bind him before flinging him into the darkest pits in the desert of Judea till the end of eternity. Furthermore, the prophet Enoch also told him of his fate and that he'll never have peace for his malice of mankind. However, this might not be the end of his story, as in 3 Enoch, the Rabbi Ishmael was said to have ascended into the heavens where he ran into an angel named Metatron, who revealed himself to be Enoch. Metatron informed Ishmael that after his ascension into heaven during the days of the Great Flood, he ran into Azazel along with 2 other angels. This must be some sort of discrepancy, as we might have believed that the fallen Watcher was still bound under sharp stones in the darkest pits for eternity. And if he was indeed freed, there was no remorse for his actions, as it was noted that Azazel despised that God had elevated Enoch to the status of an angel, which forced Azazel to submit to him. Another scripture, which is known as the Apocalypse of Abraham, refers to the entity Azazel as an evil bird that tries to interfere with the sacrifice to God. Here, Abraham was charged by an angel to make a sacrifice to God. However, a bird puts Abraham off by informing him that the angel planned to destroy the land and kill him afterwards. However, Abraham learns this is just a devious trick when the angel reveals the plot to be the machinations of the evil bird who he identifies as Azazel. Cursing him out, the angel reveals that Azazel can never corrupt Abraham because he is the Son of God, and no harm shall come to him. The angel also reveals that Abraham belongs to heaven, while Azazel belongs to the earth and cannot lead Abraham astray, as his position in heaven is now occupied by Abraham. This means he's been rendered powerless against one like Abraham. Following this, Abraham is taken into heaven when he witnesses the corruption of Adam and Eve. As he watches this scene, he notices someone or something who had the form of a serpent with hands and 6 pairs of wings. Upon inquiry, God revealed that the entity behind the tree was Azazel, the representation of ungodliness and the one who seeks the downfall of men. Interestingly, God tells Abraham about the Messiah, who is referred to as the Relief, who will come to save mankind during the end of times. The Relief will emerge from the pagans and will be worshipped by man and Azazel himself. Funnily enough, Abraham sees the vision of the man being abused before he is kissed in the face by Azazel. God reveals that he is the Messiah, which is a reference to Jesus Christ. Interestingly enough, the kissing Azazel is compared to Judas, meaning that Azazel might be Judas. Following this, God also reveals that during the days of judgment, many will side with the evil force that is Azazel until they perish under him. This depicts Azazel to be a rival of God, and although he shall be vanquished, many will be destroyed by his evil force. It becomes clear that Azazel can be seen as an evil spirit that has always sought to cause the destruction of humans. Even in the Muslim faith, Azazel is seen as an angel or a Jinn who refused time and time again to bow down to man when God created him, showing his disdain for the human race. In conclusion, whether he came in the form of an evil spirit, a fallen angel, or a renegade watcher, there is no good to come from Azazel, and it might be best to be wary of this entity no matter what form it may take. Well, that's all for today's video. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can be notified about our next videos. Trust me, you don't want to miss any of that.